Hi, I'm Alan Ross, and we are at Distributech 2025. We've got interviews with thought leaders, and we'd love for you to see what we've done here. Hey, thanks for joining us. My next guest is Jason Plain. Jason, it's good to be with you.
Alan, pleasure to be here. Glad to be talking with you here at Distributech.
So the first question I got to ask is, why did you get in this industry? When did you get in the industry? And how did you get in the industry?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I could go on and on about this, but as a young lad, I was really fascinated with taking things apart, even repairing things like VCRs and, that kind of thing always really kind of sparked an interest in me. And it led me to pursue engineering because I was pretty gifted in mathematics and fields. And I went up to Michigan Technological University, and I made a decision to go into the power program. And one of my professors up there ended up getting me an internship with his son. And the world of utilities opened up for me at that point. I went and co-opted with a utility. That's amazing, because, that is the hardest thing for utilities, is to get people excited about it. And you thought about it did you have anybody in your family that Oh, wow. This is so much fun because, no, I'm actually the first person from my family to graduate with a college degree.
Oh, wow.
And what's so interesting is I love what you just said about the big world of utilities and how I think we're really starting to understand how important they are, right? A lot of people take the electric grid for granted. I would submit to you that it is the most important product that we have, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's interesting. Personally, I literally met my wife in this industry. So my family actually has roots in the utility industry. Like I said, my wife was in the industry as well. So
that's cool. One of the things that my son is getting involved with our company, one of the things that he said to me is, "Dad, I want to do something that matters." And he didn't think the power industry mattered. And I was pretty much able to very quickly say, well, here's what happens if we don't matter. Right? If you think about it, if we don't matter, hospitals don't save people. I think right now we have the highest rate of literacy that we've ever had globally.
Yes.
And it's because of the light bulb. And the light bulb is because of power. I mean, if you didn't have that, it's because of computerization, because of all of this. I mean, there are amazing things because what we do here in this industry matters. What do you do for Eaton that matters?
Yeah, so from that moment I left the university, I've been in the utility industry my entire life, mostly on the supply side and the manufacturing side. Currently, I am marketing manager North America for Eaton's utility business.
Okay. North America, we're going to talk about that in a little bit too, because there's a lot of change here, but a lot of change globally, and I know Eaton is a global company. Talk about now, you've seen the industry, and you probably have a better perspective from the time that you came into it. I was talking to somebody earlier, and they said, we have seen more change in this industry in the last 5 years than we've seen in the 50 years previously. What are those changes, and where has it brought us to in the industry?
Well, I think, Alan, I'm kind of pulling on a thought that you had earlier when we were talking. People have taken the grid for granted.
Oh, yeah.
I would argue that the North American electric grid is the most interconnected, complex, and vital machine on the face of the earth. It's really enabled all of the economic growth we've seen. It really is the basis of our society.
Yeah.
It's literally 5% of the nation's GDP is reported, right? It's really vital and important. I think we've done such a good job, our forefathers, in building this grid, that we just accept that it's always going to be on. I mean, we're here under lights, right, that are powered by the electric utility grid. So we are seeing dramatic, you mentioned kind of what's going on in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
We're seeing dramatic upticks in demand for electricity. Part of that governed with the energy transition as we move maybe towards a more sustainable future. but also we're seeing dramatic increases in electrification of transportation, re-industrialization. In my home in Phoenix, we're building there's a TSMC chip facility that uses a lot of energy, right? That goes into the GPUs that end up in the data centers, right? Then data centers, certainly with the advent of AI and where that's going to be going, we're seeing a dramatic uptick. I mean, we're at an area now where we're seeing a space and time where we're seeing 1 gigawatt data center.
Yeah.
That is a dramatic shift. It's interesting. I have some affiliation with EEI, and if you look back 4 years ago, there was, electrification of transportation was one of the things that utilities were deeply concerned about. That's only risen in the last 5 years. But it's now third of the issues that utilities are facing, right? Data centers,
1 and 2.
Data centers probably 1, and then it could be 2, but re-industrialization, right? As we're bringing a lot of manufacturing capacity back to the United States.
And that, because I wanted to go there on re-industrialization, not only is it that we're bringing, they were growing anyway. There's in a factory, I know that it isn't adding capacity to the
100%.
Either building onto it, doing it. Then you've got, we're going to bring suppliers to that. There's a plant in Georgia. They make cars, a Kia plant.
Yeah.
I was part of the governor's thing to bring it to Georgia. And when we brought it, there was 1,400 jobs in that facility. But they said for every job in the facility, there's 4 times the number of jobs supporting it. Mm-hmm. And for every job in the facility, there's 14 times the people that are supporting, like, the hotels, the McDonald's, and all those lower paying jobs. But it's this huge influx of jobs. That plant today employs 14,000 people. And they just keep building it bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's not going away.
Yeah, and it takes a great deal of energy and reliable energy that, they're looking at a very high reliability to keep that going.
One of the reasons we sold them was we have a plant, Vogtle, that just opened up in Georgia, less than 100 miles from there. They said, look, we're building a nuclear facility to support you. Other changes that are taking place. So I love your EVs, whether it's 1, 2, or 3, they are the 3 driving.
Yeah, we could argue the rank of those, sure, certainly.
So look at it from, if you're here at an event, and you see massive amounts of small people with great technology coming to the utilities saying, buy my stuff, worried about cybersecurity, worried about common language, and not just having this system that doesn't speak to this system. So that's been one of the problems for the utilities, and it hasn't been solved yet. Okay, there are people trying to solve it. As you look at that part of the industry, many of these smaller players may not make it. They're going to be priced out of the market. They're going to be pushed out of the market because the utility says, come up with a simpler, more robust solution. And they're talking to each other now. Because as you said, we're an interconnected, but we're the least interconnected. It's not like Germany or France that got one utility, Britain, one utility. We have 5,500. I mean, they're just all over the place. We have a very complex system, as you said, but they're beginning to say, how do we work together to make sure that we make it a more resilient, a more reliable, a more sustainable, a safer grid? I know I just threw a lot at you.
Yeah.
What does that make you think?
We could probably go on for half the day on those topics.
We don't have that time.
I would need to bring in some experts from the company to talk about it. I'm going to summarize it this way. I had an opportunity yesterday to present with one of my colleagues, and he's in our digital solutions. And I think he just beautifully kind of took that idea and made it very simple to understand. We all have these phones in our pocket. And many of them are, the one in my pocket is an Apple iPhone, right? And I've got the Apple Watch, and I've got my AirPods for conference calls, right? And look, I could use a Garmin watch.
Yeah.
I could use Samsung or another manufacturer's earbuds, and they'll work together. So we have interoperability, right? But if you want to get the full, spatial audio and all of these additional technologies that Apple can bring in their ecosystem, you're going to get, you could use the individual parts and pieces, and we believe that. But if you're going to get a more integrated solution and offer more opportunities to create more efficiencies, if you're in the ecosystem, the more that you are, the more opportunity you're going to get, again, to drive efficiency at your utility.
There is no Apple in the power industry, which is the problem because Apples are unique. So how do you do that? So I want you to look ahead now. We just talked about how we got to where we are. Everything's changing. What do you think the next 5 to 10 look like?
I think, obviously you've probably done some homework on Eaton. We're a pretty big manufacturing on intelligent power management company that works across many different businesses. And I can tell you personally, one of the things that we're doing in the utility business that's maybe different in the last 5 years is, we really were focused on serving the utility customers and helping them really energize the lives of the community members that they serve. But we're kind of seeing out of a corner of our eye, our residential business also has something that might be beneficial to utilities. And in data centers, they've got these UPS systems, and maybe there's something we could tap into there. So increasingly, we're seeing the silos of our organization, they're blending right together where we have everything is a grid, right? Everything is connected, and we have experts across almost every industry in North America, right? And what can we learn from those other players to bring a more comprehensive solution to our utility customers?
So that was going to be what I asked you is what's Eaton doing about that? But I love that is looking at each of those silos. And to me, it's a swim lane in a pool. And if you take the baffles out, guess what? You just have to make sure you don't disrupt the lane beside you, but you're in the same pool.
Yeah, and the other thing that we've done, I'm sure you've read about some of our recent investments in manufacturing, which certainly, $1 billion of investment in North American manufacturing facilities. That's to address some of those challenges we were talking about. We like to say the electrification of everything. As a matter of fact, if you go to our booth, you'll see that. Okay. So certainly, there's that piece of it, that those investments that we're making, but also something that maybe is a little quieter is we're making investments in research and development. We have something we call the Eaton Research Lab that's co-located in the NREL in Colorado, in Golden, Colorado.
Yeah.
And you could kind of think of that and our Center of Excellence around DERMS, distributed energy resources, and then also our lab in Wisconsin, the Thomas A. Edison Technical Center, that can do testing. It really provides, and we actually talked about this with customers yesterday, these are the on-ramps for you to bring us your most complex challenges. This is where we're going to onboard those challenges to see if we can integrate those into the solutions we have to help you solve those problems. It's something new that we're thinking about, but we've got a lot of horsepower that we've invested in, again, the research and development.
And one of the things that's going to make that work is this has kind of been the culmination of me understanding something. Today, utilities are looking for, I'm going to use this word, intimate, which means trustworthy relationships with people to say that the potentials, it used to be the problems. Now they're not talking about problems. They're saying, the potential is so great. We've got 8% load growth. And it's not going to be solved here. We've got bigger fish to fry. Who's going to help us do that? So all of these on-ramps you talk about at Eaton, that's a brilliant use because they're going to look for people to solve their potential problems.
You encourage me that we're on the right path.
Are on the right path.
It's interesting. Another thing that you'll see if you come and visit the booth is navigating the new power landscape together. That's kind of our theme, right?
Ooh, I like that.
It requires, the grid is so complex, it requires all of us, right? And it's a responsibility to our society that we do this well, right? And we really believe that in our core, right?
I can tell you how much I believe that. I've now stolen what you just said. Navigating the power. See, and I forgot. Navigating the power.
Navigating the new power landscape.
The new power.
Together. It takes all of us.
All right, write that down because I really like that.
I will make sure you have that. Absolutely.
I would like to come and visit you. Last question for you personally. You've been in the industry long enough now. You're still young enough to know that you can make a difference.
You're very kind.
Well, do you matter? Does what you do matter?
Oh, that's such an interesting, kind of my personal motto is energizing lives, and it's
Cool. I like that.
it's really in two ways, right? I get to work with utilities that they get to energize the lives of the customers that they serve, right? And then also I get to work with colleagues and utility professionals where I get to interact with them and help energize their lives as well. So it's really kind of a dual meaning. That's my why, right? And behind it is the grid, right? And it's been a common theme, really, since I was 18 years old, going back to my days at Michigan Tech. I've been in the utility business my entire life, and it feels like home to me, right? And it's important and it matters to me.
So, Jason, you started at the Michigan Tech thing. You brought it all the way around, and you brought it back to doing what matters. But thank you so much. It's been brilliant.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you very much.